There's a new study that finds that 99% of Americans, not a typo, not a joke, 99% of Americans will lose income under Donald Trump. Only the top 1% will benefit once you account for tariffs, the tax bill, benefit reductions, and other aspects of Trump's economic policy so far. He's figured out a way to do it again. Donald Trump has wrapped this massive transfer of wealth up to the rich in a package that he has said is about helping working families. The one big, beautiful bill. And they wanted it to sound patriotic. They wanted it to sound like the sort of stuff that's covered in red, white, and blue sprinkles with fireworks that blow your hand off and all of that nostalgic stuff. But unfortunately, it is a rigged deal. And that leaves 99% of Americans with less money in their pockets, but the 1% will walk away richer than ever. Now, this is not my interpretation. This is what a nonpartisan analysis is finding. You've got to look at it by 2027. It is true that in the short term, there are other income groups that will see some benefit. It's small, but it is there. But by 2027, income after taxes and transfers will fall for every single income group other than the top 1%. If you are in the top 1%, you will get richer, but everybody else is going to get poorer. And here's how it's going to work. The tax bill has combined two Trump priorities, a set of tax changes buried in the bill, and then the tariffs. For the middle 20% of Americans with an average income of $109,000, you'll get about a $950 tax cut, but the tariffs will cost you $2,200. So you get a tax cut of $950, tariffs cost you $2,250. The net loss to you as an American making $109,000 a year is $1,300 a year by 2027. If you're lower down than that, you might say, keep going, David. Okay, the lowest 20% are going to lose $160 from the bill's policies, but they are going to lose $1,500 from tariffs. So that is more than 3% of their income. If you are barely scraping by, that is the difference between paying your rent in full or starting to fall behind a little bit each month, or buying the groceries that you need versus not quite buying the groceries that you need. Now, meanwhile, the top 1% gets a nearly $18,000 benefit from the tax bill, which is way more than enough to offset the higher tariffs of about $12,000. So that is going to leave the top 1% ahead by $5,000. And they were doing fine already. But over time, it's going to get worse because some of the benefits expire after 2028. The cuts to Medicaid and SNAP keep going. In 2029, the poorest Americans are going to see incomes fall by 5% compared to the 3.4% I mentioned for now. Middle class will be down 2%. Even the top 1% will lose a little bit of ground, but by then they will have pocketed years of gains. So Trump's team has sold all of this as a working family's tax cut. That's a lie. It doesn't do that. This is an upward wealth transfer, plain and simple. Trump benefits, his friends benefit, his cronies benefit. It's like Robin Hood in reverse. Take from most people and give it to the richest Americans. Now, the political part is the following. This is what Donald Trump's economic nationalism looks like. You know, what does he say? We're going to protect workers. We're going to be there for the average person. But the reality is, if everything you buy is more expensive and you've got less money in your bank account, the average worker is not winning, not even close. If you're not in the top 1%, ultimately, the bill plus the tariffs are coming for your wallet. And unless you're paying close attention, you might not realize it until you feel it. And then the question, the age-old question, will the people who did it be held accountable? Because there's a unfortunate trend in this country to hold the wrong people accountable when things go wrong.